Are there foods that can help and be probiotics for you?
You hear all and now everybody out there tell me you've heard the commercials, right? It's all about yogurt. You hear so much about yogurt. It's got the good probiotics in it. And then there's other foods, I'm sure, that have the probiotics as well. But I want to hear from you, the expert on this.
Yeah.
Are those foods worthwhile?
No. Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. But kind of no. Yogurt is not it's not a one and done for your probiotic mix at all, because number one is that the species of probiotics in yogurt do very little
Uh,
of the work to help with the keystone species in your gut that does all the work. They do something, but not a lot. So species choice is really important. Number one. Number two is that the level of sugar food coloring that we put in the yogurt in the United States really negates the beneficial properties of it. I'm serious. If you make your own yogurt or you actually get yogurt in Europe, it's tart.
mhm.
And yet we're sitting here with like these Twix sticks, whatever. Like, I don't even want, like, it's like I can't believe how we've bastardized a health food into making it candy. So really, the level of sugar, food coloring, chemicals that we have put into our yogurt, they're no better than basic candy.
Gosh.
Okay,
So you
but if
think you're being healthy, you think you're doing something good, but in actuality, you're making the problem worse.
yeah, but if you are going to eat yogurt, is there a better choice? And there is, and it is Greek yogurt that's unsweetened.
So I feed my son every morning, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I actually do a full fat Greek yogurt,
Yes.
and that high fat is so important. And we're in the high carb hell of everything right now, but it's really critical to do a low carbohydrate, more tart type yogurt, Greek style yogurt. The other thing is, I make my own coconut milk yogurt, and
Mhm.
the cool thing, Anne, is when I make my own, I not only use a yogurt starter, but I will put a capsule of our Proflora AI in there to grow more of our good bacteria into and you can make your own yogurt and grow your own probiotics.
Got an extra little punch in there then.
Take Proflora AI, and we can talk about specific strains that we care. We have a whole line of actual probiotic essentials, of which Proflora AI is our flagship, and we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, you can eat yogurt, but in general, most of them equivalent to candy. But I did talk about better options. In fact, the place where you can actually get the most probiotic is not where you think.
Okay.
So believe it or not, when you have fruit and vegetables that are organic, that are unpeeled, that's where you get a ton of probiotics.
Okay, you never hear that. Of course, the fruit and vegetable growers aren't out there marketing it for this reason because that's not what they do. But explain that to us. How is that
Yeah.
possible that they have the most probiotic?
They have a lot. A lot of good bacteria is actually soil based. They're not innately in animals or humans. It's actually soil based probiotics that they're called spore type probiotics. They're interesting because they improve something we in the gut we call gut diversity. So just to introduce the idea of gut diversity is that it's not just the number of bacteria that you need that's important. The more important thing is actually how many species you have, how diverse are those species. And what they have found is that the sicker a person is, the lower the gut diversity, the lower the number of different type of strains they have in their gut. So these are actually measurable. You can actually measure what is someone's gut diversity. And so people with autoimmune disease, most of them have low gut diversity. So why not introduce more gut diversity? Well, we do. We actually do that by introducing more spore-based, soil-based probiotics. And there's a plethora of it on organic fruits and vegetables that are grown in the soil.
Somebody had a question about that actually, saying, "What do you think about spore biotics? Do you recommend it even when one has mold or yeast exposure?"
I love that question. What do I think about spore probiotics is what we're talking about right now specifically is that it's a great way to increase the number of species that are in your gut that aren't normally there in a huge number. This is why we get these studies actually from daycare. Young kids who go to daycare actually have a healthier immune system and can fight infection better in life than kids who are actually raised at home in a really clean, sterile environment. And it's
Mhm.
because of the presence of a lot of dirt probiotics. So spore probiotics are actually really great. So it is a great way to actually improve the gut diversity. So it is definitely one in the rotation that I recommend for our program. We will talk about that more. But this is also the reason I recommend unpeeled fruit, organic fruit and vegetables, because on the covering of these produce is a lot of good spore probiotics. We teach a lot in our dietary about how to add prebiotics. There's other products like we have Fiber Plus in the store. We have also Love My Greens that really, if you don't get enough greens and fiber in, adding Fiber Plus or Love My Greens is going to feed these good bacteria. That being said, I can tell you that there are specific strains in Proflora AI that are known to increase the population of the keystone species.
Huh.
Okay. So certain probiotics actually help increase the population of other probiotics. So this is the important piece to understand is that just because you're low in something, it's not like you can just grab it and take it and it'll be higher. Like 80% of stuff you can't even take because again, those oxygen species exposed to oxygen, they'll die. So then what happens is certain strains of probiotics, when you take it, will help those other species you can't just take orally go up.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is they can actually help the health and population of other strains. Short story, when I was breastfeeding my first child, I got mastitis, which is an infection in my breast. I got given doxycycline, an antibiotic, and that threw me into probably it was the trigger of my autoimmune disease, first of all,
Mhm.
because I got what's called a C. diff infection. Because when you take an antibiotic, it can clear out even all the good bacteria. And then a particular species called C. diff will grow like crazy, which can cause severe disease. And we now know it can even trigger autoimmune disease. And so taking an antibiotic for an infection can actually trigger an infection that will trigger autoimmune disease.
Well, that wasn't helpful.
Well, and I was given more antibiotics, thousands and thousands of dollars of antibiotics, like 6 rounds of it over 18 months, and I couldn't get rid of it.
That's
And
terrible.
finally, thank God, I actually had a really great infectious disease colleague who said to me, Maggie, we're going to stop all these antibiotics. I want you to eat yogurt and to eat a ton of unpeeled fruit and vegetables. That's what ended my infection with C. diff. And this was 22 years ago.
Wow.
So this is how powerful it really was. But back then he was like, don't tell anybody I told you that. It's like, he couldn't even tell me that because it's like, literally, he was told he could only do these antibiotics for me. And it was like almost sacrilegious to say, hey, why don't
There's
you
another
try
way
eating
here.
some unpeeled fruit and vegetables?
Right, right. So
Right.
because that is something you hear about all the time when someone's taking an antibiotic. I know
Mhm.
I've thought about it too. Like, okay, do I need to absolutely be taking a probiotic if I have to take an antibiotic? And if so, at the same time, a certain strain, a
Yeah.
certain kind. There's so
Yeah.
many questions regarding that.
It is, and that's why in the program I actually have modules and training about like if you're going to go into surgery, what is some surgery prep? How do you actually do probiotic surgery prep to prepare for all those antibiotics you're going to get during surgery? Like which probiotic do you take? How often? Typically, I really tell people to double their probiotics the week before and the month following a surgical procedure. And of course, in surgery you can't be taking a probiotic in the middle of surgery. But for people who are taking antibiotics, you really got to double up these probiotics when you're taking because you're putting yourself at risk if you don't of these other life-threatening infections that are resistant to those antibiotics that are going to be coming out as a
Mhm.
result of you taking antibiotics.
It can actually, as in your case, be the start of autoimmunity, or if you already have autoimmunity or mystery symptoms, it can make them much, much worse, it sounds like.
Yeah, it can. So what I'd love to do is I am going to walk you guys through like how I think about probiotics. I do think probiotics is something you have to do for life. And that's why
Mhm.
I'm saying eat it. Eat it in your fruit and vegetables that are unpeeled, right? Your celery that's organic is lined with good probiotics on it. Like eat it. Don't peel the apple, eat the skin. But get it organic because if it's not organic, it's filled with pesticides and all these chemicals to kill all that bacteria on there. You don't want that. So organic unpeeled fruit and vegetables really is something you should be doing every day as a lifestyle to continue to populate your gut with good probiotics. If you understand just this one topic, that was just 1%, the tip of the iceberg on this one topic. And this is the kind of education that I think is really crucial for people to learn how to turn around their autoimmune disease naturally. So if you want to learn more about the program, we're going to put a link in chat. You can start a chat with our team to learn more. If you're really wondering what is the Transform Autoimmune, it's the 5 pillars approach to turning around autoimmunity. If you want to know what the 5 pillars are, put 5 pillars in the comment section and tell me a little bit about what autoimmune struggles you're struggling with. Everyone click the link and message our team to learn more. We have so many resources that we'd love to share with you.
Calling in the pros, the probiotics, but truly the real pro here, also Dr. Maggie.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful day and see you guys later.